What If is a series of the Rest is History channel made to create alternate situations which have the potential to change the course of the history. All of the information is based on real life events and conclusions are fictitious and never happened. On 4th January 1316 AD, the greatest Sultan of Delhi, Alauddin Khilji, who ruled the Indian subcontinent, breathed his last, and 4 years after which the Khilji dynasty ended, which was followed by much weaker and incompetent Tughlaq dynasty. 82 years later in 1398, on December 17th, the Asian barbarian warlord Taimur Lung exploded his carnage on Delhi, which took the next 100 years to heal its wounds. Since Tughlaqs weren't able to even give Taimur a decent resistance, have you ever wondered what would have happened if Taimur had faced Alauddin Khilji instead of Nasiruddin Muhammad Shah Tughlaq? Alauddin Khilji, who used same tactics as Taimur, with which he was able to defeat Mongols not once but 6 times. How would it change the Indian history, and will Alauddin be able to stop and destroy Taimur as he did to Mongols? Let's find out. First, we have to establish their personal background, their similarities and odds before proceeding to the situation of conflict between Alauddin Khilji and Taimur Lung. Why would they fight? Where would they fight? Who would win between these two superpowers, and India and Delhi's future? Though not much is known about his early life, Alauddin Khilji was estimated to be born in 1266-67 AD, possibly in modern-day West Bengal or Bangladesh, while some historians suggest present-day Afghanistan. He was the nephew and son-in-law of founder of the Khilji dynasty, Jalaluddin Khilji, who was comparatively way more merciful and sympathetic towards his subjects than the rest of any rulers of those times, which Alauddin Khilji despised a lot. In 1293-94, Alauddin Khilji became the governor of Kara and Awadh, and consequently in coming years raided nearby wealthy Hindu kingdoms like Bhilsa and Malwa territories, thus winning the trust and confidence of his father-in-law Jalaluddin. Hence, from the master of ceremonies, he became the mass minister of war. In 1296, without Jalaluddin's permission and years of planning, Alauddin raided Devgiri and went straight back to Kara with all the precious wealth and emeralds. When Jalaluddin met him in Kara after getting a message that Alauddin might commit suicide and wanted to apologize, he was assassinated and his head on spear was carried out throughout the Awadh. Distributing his enormous looted wealth among his soldiers after annexing Delhi, Alauddin won their trust and promoted his military generals into major government positions, which was recognized as the happiest year Delhi has seen in a long time. Between 1297 and 1306 CE, Alauddin's army under his brother Ulugh Khan and Prime Minister Nusrat Khan resisted Chagatai Khanate Mongol army a total 6 times while taking back forts which Mongol army seized previously, and interestingly, 6th time was when Alauddin forces under Tughlaq as commander not defended but this time raided Mongols in present-day Afghanistan, while also continued to annex central and southern India completely with Malik Kafur as commander from 1308, like Malwa, Chittor, where famous Johar incident of Rani Padmini happened, Devgiri again 2nd time, Warangal, where he held the famous Kohinoor diamond. In 1310 CE, Malik Kafur, with permission of Alauddin, travelled deep inside Deccan and in 1311 defeated Hosalia and Pandya kingdoms and reached till Madurai in present-day Tamil Nadu, and hence was able to stretch Khilji empire from Afghanistan to Tamil Nadu. Market and economically wise, Alauddin was a genius, and his taxation system was actually followed for 600 more years until East India Company took over. Market price controls enabled him to run an army of 475,000 horsemen, effective spy system enabled to catch disloyal insiders and hence rule the Indian subcontinent throughout with an iron fist. Taimur Lung was born on 9th April 1336 AD as a Turco-Mongol into the Barlas tribe in modern-day Uzbekistan before attacking Delhi under Tughlaq Sultanate around 1370s. Taimur first consolidated himself as both leaders of Mongol Empire and the Islamic world. Taimur could not claim the title of Khan or rule the Mongol Empire because he was not descendant of Genghis Khan, so he married a descendant, Sarai Mulk Khanum, thus being able to rule Chagatai Khans under as a puppet ruler as Amir, meaning general, and won Transoxiana. For Islam, Taimur similarly could not claim the title Caliph because it was limited to the Quraysh tribe, the tribe of Prophet Muhammad. So he created a myth and an image of himself as a supernatural human. Before invading Delhi, for 3 decades, Taimur conquered leftover parts of Mongol Empire, now divided into 4 parts. The Golden Horde Khanate in the northwest, Chagatai Khanate in the west, the Ilkhanate in the southwest, and the Yuan dynasty based in modern-day Beijing. With Chagatai already in control, in 1383 AD, Temur invaded the northern kingdoms of broken and much divided Ilkhanate in Persia, and by 1392 AD, he had conquered Ilkhanate completely with casualties more than 3 lakhs, where in one case there were 28 towers of 1500 heads each were made to strike fear into kingdoms and people who thought of mutiny. Temur also had wars with the Golden Horde during this period with Toktamish, in which Temur and his armies invaded Caucasus region of Armenia, Georgia, and was even able to destroy their capital Sarai and Astrakhan. On 30th September 1398 AD, fascinated by the unending riches of the Golden Bird, Temur invaded northern India, initially facing loads of resistance from both Rajput Hindus and Muslims of present-day Rajasthan. Temur proceeded towards Delhi after successfully subjugating them. While Delhi's Sultanate under Nasiruddin Muhammad Shah Tughlaq provided little to no resistance, Jats on the other hand became Temur's biggest menace in India, and ironically, Temur referred to them as devils. Delhi was sacked and left to ruins. It witnessed its biggest genocide yet. 2 lakh plus Hindus were slaughtered. Blood streams were flowing through the Yamuna river. From Temur's perspective, it was his biggest victory, but on the other hand, absolute decimation and carnage which made Delhi absolute hell to live, where vultures were eating leftover dead bodies. After knowing their personal backgrounds, let's create a situation where just after Mongol Empire splits up in 1260 AD, Temurlung is born and takes a usual time to Chagatai Khanate, just like what actually happened, but in this case, 1 century earlier. After winning Chagatais and Ilkhanates, Temur decided to loot Delhi, but this time Alauddin's ruling. As we can clearly see, Temur ruled with terror and with a genocidal mindset. He used both Islam and Mongols as an excuse to satisfy his personal needs. Punishments were held brutally considering the fact that at that time world's 5% population was eliminated by Temur himself. Having one of the best cavalries, he stoned people to death and exterminated male population specifically in order to convert the leftover women. In the name of jihad, he destroyed Delhi and Hindus for its wealth and faced no competition against the Delhi Sultanate. Rather, local Jats and kingdoms gave much more of a battle. Since he invaded Delhi, Temur must have been one of the richest rulers of his time, considering he looted the life out of the richest city in the world. Alauddin Khilji on the other hand was no different either when it comes to shrewd cunningness and genius tactician. Alauddin was not only the richest ruler on the planet during his time, but also with the most able and strongest military. Alauddin also showed no mercy and discipline, was top-notch during his time in Delhi. When in 1303, Delhi was almost lost to Mongols, Alauddin just reached in time and defended it from the Siri fort, after which he established a high level of spy network throughout Delhi with several economic reforms, which made his army more stronger than ever. Drinking was banned for instigating rebellion, and corruption was dealt with strictness where convicts could face having both arms cut or jump into a snake pit. Alauddin in one single night slaughtered 20,000 to 30,000 newly converted Mongols who were accused of organizing a mutiny. Where Alauddin failed, Malik Kafur's cleverness came into effect, which made the Khilji Empire stretch deep into the South India. They both used immense propaganda against their neighboring kingdoms in advance before invading them properly. Both seek for opportunity in chaos of power of struggles in the other kingdoms. Temur used it against Ilkhanate and Alauddin used it against the South Indian empires. Studying both Temur and Alauddin explains 2 things. 1. They both were heavily ambitious and wanted to spread their empire as much as they could. And 2. Both created themselves as the only god figure to be worshipped. Alauddin wanted to create his own religion where he would be worshipped and wanted to stretch beyond Indian subcontinent, but was stopped by his own advisors. Whereas Temur also created himself as a supernatural god and expanded his empire from present Syria to India. Temur wouldn't care attacking a fellow Muslim empire considering he invaded Delhi Sultanate and Ottoman Empire, both ruled by Muslims. For Alauddin not hesitating to attack another Islamic superpower can be justified by the Book of Military Campaigns of Alauddin. This book was made after the Alauddin's death, and the original one on his personal life was burnt when Temur attacked it because it had stated Alauddin's immeasurable amount of hate towards Mongols. 5 kilometers from Qutub Minar stands the Siri fort, which was built by Alauddin himself himself during 1303 AD when Delhi was almost lost. It's said that 8,000 Mongol heads were used to build it, and Temur was a Turkish Mongolic ruler, so both would have faced each other without any excuses in this scenario. Considering Mongols were able to attack Delhi directly, battle would ensue in Delhi itself, where Alauddin would be defending and Temur on the attacking stance. It would be a one-time battle only because Temur always led the battles himself, and so did Alauddin. Alauddin had generals like Zafar Khan, Ulugh Khan and Nusrat Khan who struck fears into the Mongolian army, which was usually otherwise. Temur used and belonged to Chagatai Khan tribes who were defeated by Alauddin back to back and were even slaughtered mercilessly. If you look from a neutral stance, Alauddin was the only non-Hindu ruler in the Indian history who was able to reach as far as Madurai in Tamil Nadu. Tughlaq just used Alauddin's leftovers to repeat the same but failed miserably. Alauddin's sharp strategy to defend his empire from Mongols in the north while invading Rajasthan and Gujarat speak volumes of how much organized and strategically he played his cards. Interestingly, in the book Khazan-ul-Futuh by Amir Khusro, it stated that when Alauddin Khilji attacked the Warangal second time, he brought the most advanced and powerful artillery on the planet with him, which means Alauddin was not only the richest but the most technologically advanced king as well. After all the observation, it is clear that Alauddin would have not only defended Delhi against any invasion from Temur, but would have also been able to defeat and even kill Temur, since he would be coming to lead them, which would also open Alauddin's gate to conquer Central Asia and fulfill his long life dream. Alauddin would have been able to expand his empire beyond Afghanistan and hold the title of the greatest conquerors ever. Delhi would have been saved from a massive genocide and wrath of Temur Lung, which actually happened and which would also solidify Alauddin's image throughout. For India as a nation in future, it would have become a more debatable issue than it is already regarding Alauddin's win against Mongols, where some say he saved India, where others say he was doing it just for himself. My personal opinion, you can blame Alauddin Khilji for destroying Hindu temples and torturing them all you want, and rightfully so, but when it comes to winning, nobody comes close to Alauddin securing it. Fun fact, we all know why Temur was called lame or lung, but did you know because of a stroke in his right side of the body, a stroke on his left brain lobe actually affected his judgment and made him extraordinarily cruel and aggressive towards anything. I hope you guys like my video. Like, share the video as much as you can and subscribe to the channel. Goodbye.